All right, so this is what I left off with on Wednesday. I brought some images in, but I'm not quite sure how I want to use those. I had started bringing this in because I was thinking about this in a certain way, but the angles are off. You can kind of see, like, I have this, the way that the perspective is on him. If I draw a line for his shadow, or if let me just make a layer on top of him. All right, so if I draw a line for just to get a sense of like where his, you don't have to do this. This is just for me right now, but to get a sense of like where the perspective lines are, it's pretty much like this. Right. That's kind of like the plane, his frontal plane right now. So anything that I line up with him, I want to kind of also be tweaked in that way so that it matches. And right now, the frontal plane for this piece down here is very different. It's, it's like there, and then that's a terrible color. It doesn't really show up, but it's even more. You can kind of see. So it's very, very different. Getting these to match could be a little tricky. You can do things like open up your transform tools and come down and go to perspective and then drag that up. And that will start to get you there, but look how much I have to drag it up to kind of get it to match. That's kind of a lot. You could try to really force it. You could go to skew, which will let you kind of break that perspective a little bit. But still, I don't think I'm going to quite get to the frontal, to match the frontal plane like I can here. So I might want to just rethink that image. I think I'm gonna turn that off and think about a different one. A lot of times, you don't even need to look at those. You don't even need to draw a frontal plane. You just got to kind of look at it and decide if it matches. Flat things are not so bad. You can kind of make those work. It's like this might work. That box, I think a box might work. We'll see. Oh yeah, one thing I was thinking about, I could just combine him. So right click, and then go open with, and say Photoshop. All right. So I'm gonna do a little work in the image itself first before I bring it over into my layer. Well, do I want to do that, or do I just want to place it? We'll just place it. It'll be fine. All right. Let's remember, place in bed. Okay. That size is good. All right. So I'm going to mask it out now and put him in a. Put them in a folder. No guys down here. So my bird below the guy. Turn the guy off for now. And turn that off for now. Okay. All right. So let's see. Let's lasso. Turn magnetic. Okay, that's not bad. I did a terrible job on my feet down here. So let's add. Okay. Kind of look at the other feet. Oh yeah, these are terrible. So some of this is going to be a lot of just like monotonous kind of fixing of images. All right, he's good. I'm going to mask him. This is masked out. I know kind of what I want to do with this, I think, is have the guy's head coming out of the bird. Yeah. So I'm going to also mask out the bird's head. So let's, well, you don't need to do a lasso for this. You can just take your brush on your layer mask with some black paint and just paint out that part. B for brush, Z for the zoom, the little eyeglass. The little zoom eyeglass thing is really useful. You know, you just hit Z and it's automatically on plus, but if you just drag in and out with it, you don't have to hit any other modifier keys. It'll just zoom in and out. So I'm dragging like up and to the right, like diagonally, you know, or up, down. Yeah. So that'll zoom you in and out really well. Okay, let's try to get our guy up there. Our bird. Everything's sort of the wrong size right now, but that's okay. I think we're gonna make our guy a little bit smaller. And then we'll make our bird also a little bit smaller. And right now I'm not worried about like the colors or how any of that looks. I'm just worried about composition. So I want my bird kind of right in the middle, which means I'm going to put my guy up here, oops, up here. Still a little too big. Right. Okay. So just placing it on top of there like that, I mean, it doesn't really fit that well. Like, it doesn't look like his shirt is actually part of it, like interacting at all with the bird. Doesn't look like the neck is doing anything in particular. So there's a couple of things you can do to make these appear. And a lot of this is just like dropping the opacity of your top layer because you want to edit the top layer a little bit to make some of it match what's going on with the rest of the bird, or you know what's going on with that bottom layer. And then I'm going to go into that mask and just paint it. So brush, oops. Make sure full black, yep. Right. My brush a little smaller. A lot of what I'm going to do is just make sure that like things that I know, shapes and parts of the bird that I know are kind of stick out a little, like say the wing, that those show. So I'm painting on the mask of the guy to let some of this birdness come through. Same with the neck here. I'm gonna paint a little bit of this hand out. And you're just trying to make it as smooth as possible. It may be that you have to kind of up your transparency again, or your opacity, sorry. Just make sure you come back and to the right. Make sure you come back to the right layer in order to edit it. Notice the spaces between his fingers. You see his shirt. I don't want to see the bird. That one's not such a big deal. It's more just shadow, but kind of pull some of that bird out if you can. The birdness. When I'm doing this, I'm using a hard brush. My brush is full hardness. If you use a soft brush, it's going to leave fuzzy edges. So if I make my brush bigger and I pull up, you can kind of see how soft of an edge that is. It's not a hard edge. This is good for blending and like kind of letting some things come through, which we're going to do in a minute. But when you really want to define the contours of something, use a hard edge. Silhouettes are really important. All right, let's go back up full. Yeah, I might do something here. So I can kind of imagine this line of this shirt coming down right around here. Too much on the handout. Okay. It's a little better. I think this is a little weird right here, the way that comes in straight down, so I'm going to also mess with that. Just to round it a little bit, it makes the bird shape underneath feel round. All right, that's better. It's dark, so it kind of blends in. We could even, when we do some color editing, we might try to get these values closer together so it really looks like it's coming in. Now I'm kind of wondering, okay, what is he looking at? What is bird guy looking at? I don't know. This feels, the composition feels very weighted in one direction. I'm not sure I like that very much. So we're gonna kind of mess with that a little bit. Come back and look at your things. Again, you're not gonna use everything. I think we are gonna use this though. Alright, this one's a little different because it's gigantic. So I'm going to scale it down a little. Now we're going to have to decide how we want to mask this. I really like the letters. I don't know if you guys, all these little letters that show up in here. So I think what I'm going to do is use just my straight up lasso. Kind of define a loose shape here. We're going to end up, I think, really modifying these quite a bit. So let's see. Super fun method. Put these out of here for now. Creeper clowns, nothing creeper clown. Okay. Let's bring the eye down even more. Man, I don't know. This guy is like really messing me up. I just had an idea and I think we're gonna run with it. But I need another bird. And another person. Alright, yeah, we're gonna have to find another person. Splash. You know what? Let's go. Oh, it's just tiny, but we'll see. All right, I'm gonna pause the recording so there's not like 20 minutes of me looking for stuff. I think we're good. We're going. Are we going? We're going. Okay. Yeah. So let me look. Why suddenly we have no room here? But I think I saved. Yeah, there she is. All right. So I want to put this one in kind of opposition with the guy. Actually, I'm gonna stop the music for a second. So another shortcut you can do, you can open it in Photoshop, and if you want to, you can select the whole thing. That's just Command A, and then click and drag up to the tab, and just hold it on there until it changes to that image. Right. So I just clicked and dragged it, held my cursor right above that tab. It will automatically then switch over to that document, and then just drop it, and that will place your image. Maybe. All right, it should place the image. Did not place the image. Seemed like it was trying to. Oh, did I just dump it like in here? I did. Sorry, my thing is on. I don't know what this is. Uh-oh. Oh, whoops, I just deleted something I needed. I'm not sure what's going on. That worked earlier. It's trying to tell me it's like those layers. Whatever. God. Photoshop. Just do what we know works. Alright, grab the car. Actually, for now. All right, I'm gonna mask out this lady. Just same way we've been doing. Like lasso. This one's gonna be a little more difficult because there's a lot of gray. So you might have to actually place lines a little bit more than you would normally. So I'm dragging, letting the magnetic lasso also place anchors, but then every now and then I'm clicking. Like right here, I should have clicked way back here. I'm clicking to kind of reinforce. It's trying to pull too much of that tire. The pixel values are the same. If you want to, you can just use the polygon lasso or regular lasso. Okay, I'm not super concerned about her hand because I have plans for what she's doing. Alright, that is... Alright, super rough. Yeah, we're going to come down here and fix this part. Let's take out... That is her dress. Let's add this part. Let's add this part. Take away. A lot of just taking away. These parts of the tutorial video I will speed up because there's not much. Yeah, like I said, I'm not super worried about her hand here. Arm I'm concerned about. I'm gonna kind of have her like reaching into the head of the guy. I'm gonna take away one of those little guys. Just have. Then you want to kind of pay attention to her outline here, her silhouette. Okay. Oh, the strap is part of her back. Okay, all right, I think that's good. Mask it out. See, there's a few rough spots there, but that's okay. We'll just paint it on the mask. Smoothing out some of those sharp edges.
Wait, which tool is that?
Right now?
Yeah.
I'm painting, I'm just using a brush,
Okay.
the B. Painting with black on the mask. Alright, smooth this out a little bit. Painting with the brush is a lot easier with a Wacom. If you try to do it with the trackpad, it's a little sketchy at best. It can be really difficult with the mouse because you depend on your wrist for so many like the little movements. It's like trying to like write your signature with the mouse. Okay. That's good, sorta. Her arm looks really weird there. Like super weird. So I'm just gonna take it out completely. Just think about this outline there, that edge, and then get rid of the rest of it. Oops. Okay. All right, so he's looking down, she's looking at us. We might do something different with her face, but she's got this arm. So I'm actually going to use that arm to do something different with what's going on here. What are we going to do? I want her sort of like holding his head. maybe. Maybe not. All right, now I need another bird.
Who's got the animal? Ruby has it. Ruby has it. She's in the scanner. Oh, she's at the scanner? Okay. Hey.
I'll go with that. Yeah, what's up, Sam? Just a sec. Or the penguin. It's not a penguin, it's a flamingo. Really rough on the flamingo, but play around with it here. So let's scale it down just a little. My proportions are going to be a little wrong. Oh, I'm trying to do way too much with this. I'm really forcing it. I should just get rid of this guy, because I'm just like trying to make everything work around him. And it's not. Maybe we will just go with here. Okay. I was thinking I was going to use the neck of the bird, but don't think I'm gonna. Oh, that's kind of a shame, because it's really nice. But now I have to figure out what to do with the woman. This is not my best collage ever. Notice how I'm using levels now to kind of unify the look between some of them. I did colorize the guy. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it that way, but I did it just to kind of see what it looks like. Now I'm bringing the flamingo down to the ducks. Bringing the darks down on the flamingo to match the darks on the duck, although I think I'm going to up or not the duck, or whatever it is, this smaller bird. I am going to up his darks a tad, otherwise the image just is too dark. Come here. So I'm just kind of looking like, you know, here are some of my darkest darks on the flamingo. Where are my darkest darks on the smaller bird? I'm trying to get them to match. Not super into this coloration here. I don't know if that's just because that I don't mind. All right. And then I'm going to come up here to her dress and try to make her match. So just painting on the mask again. Drop her opacity a tiny bit. Just trying to match some of the contours of the bird so that she doesn't seem to stand out as much. Still stands out quite a bit. More than I want her to, but that's alright. Okay. Something we could do. Match there. All right. Okay, so a couple of kind of weirdos here. I think I'm suffering from not having like a really strong face, which is kind of bugging me. Tiger a little bit. It's like this all feels very, there's no focal point. Man, I'm struggling. I don't know why I'm struggling with this one so much. I don't usually struggle this much with these. Time for the machine. Oh, I am going to do something with the fish though. This will be interesting if this works. So I'm going to grab the, I'm going to copy the mask on the flamingo here. Mask selection. All right. Come up to the fish, apply that as a mask. So now the fish is masked out with the bird. I'm going to unlock them though because I want to move, oops, not the mask, but the fish inside. Just because this, like, the back of the flamingo kind of reminds me of a fish face shape. Makes me think of that. So I'm going to arrange it here so that I can make it look like that. All right, let me put these guys in the folder so I don't forget. Fish. Alright, so there's a couple of interesting things you can do at this point. I am going to move my fish down right above the layer that has the bird in it. That is in the woman, it's called woman and bird. So a few things we can do. We could leave the mask the way it is now, but I'm not really satisfied with that, so I'm actually going to paint out just at least the legs here. I'm also not really into how the rest of the fish looks, so I'm going to soften my brush quite a bit, and then I'm going to come in, make it really big, and kind of softly tap to bring some of that texture back of the bird around the edges at least. So you can kind of see, I don't know if it's difficult to see, but you kind of see how, like, because I'm using a very soft brush, like I changed my hardness is really, really low, and I'm just coming around the edges, because remember, when your hardness is low, that pushes, like if I bring back my diagram, you can kind of see on the outside of that circle that is my brush size, there's some red, right? So that's the influence of the brush. So it extends past your outline, okay? So if you kind of come in here and mix these a little, oops, you can kind of bring a little bit of that bird feather texture back while still keeping a lot of the fish scaly stuff in there. Might do that here as well, just a little bit more, and a little bit more of that back. Yeah. If ever you feel like you've taken too much, just switch your colors. Oops. You can switch your colors and really mess it up like that, like I just did. Might be a good idea to not do that. So go back and grab your original mask here. So add mask to selection. Masks it again, but then come up and grab your image. You want to only paint in that mask. So leave your mask active while you're painting with your white color back in there, like that. Alright. So that's a way, like, now I've given sort of a fish texture to that flamingo, and already I like it a lot more. That's just with normal blending. This is when blend modes kind of come into play. I can take this blending now and like dissolve it into it, which is going to look really harsh. You can darken it, so it's going to do some stuff with the darks and bring the darks out. Lighten will do the opposite, right? It brings the light parts up. Multiply, you can play with that. That really darkens it a lot. Brings that texture back in. Color burn, you know, so you can just really play around with these and kind of get a sense of what is going to give you the look that you want the most. I'm thinking none of these actually. Overlay, no, overlay is going to be my last hope. Maybe linear light? Linear light, I kind of like linear light. It really pops those colors. Then I'm going to keep linear light. Oh, man. So yeah, so there's some good texture in there, and then I brought the fish in. Linear light's really nice. I need to make some other colors and things pop in here. So I'm going to kind of look again at my other images and then see if there's something I can bring in. I don't have a ton of color, to be honest. You know what we're going to do? We're going to bring the filet fish in and see what that does. We're going to use it as color and see if it does anything for us. Or as texture, I mean. Alright, that's gigantic. We don't want it in our fish though. Let's give it its own folder. Filet fish. Actually, you know what? I think I stopped recording. No, I'm recording. Okay, good. Alright, so filet fish. Let's drop this opacity down. We can even drop the size down a little bit. I'm going to use it as texture on the guy's shirt. I'm going to see if I can get it to look a little different. So I'm going to come down here to the guy, Open that up. I'm going to grab that selection, that layer mask selection again. Then come up to my Filet-O-Fish layer, mask that out right there, unlock it, grab the actual image itself, go to my move tool, kind of move it around and see what I can do. Rotate it a little bit, maybe. I'm just looking for kind of an interesting shape. I am going to come into the mask though and paint because I want his face and arm. I want this texture to really just be on his shirt. So I'm going to bring my brush way down. I'm going to harden it because I want a hard outline. And then I'm going to kind of paint where his arm is. Smoothly as possible. Oh, except right here because it doesn't matter. Not great, but serviceable for today. Remember, if you mess up, switch to your white and paint it back in. Huh, I'm quite sure where that's coming from. Woman and bird. That was on the bird. Okay. There. All right. Oh, right. Oops. Wrong one. Okay. So I got that weird texture from the Filet-O-Fish. You can then kind of blend it in if you want with different layer blending modes. That Vivid is kind of nice actually. Pin light, hard light, overlay doesn't do anything. Lighter color, screen, nope. All right, we're gonna do hard light. Let's try hard light, and then what we'll do is add a layer adjustment, like a hue saturation adjustment. We'll colorize the just the fillet. Could also invert this image as a layer adjustment. That just swaps the white and the darks of it. So now, instead of having like that white color here in the front of his shirt, it's now dark. So I can kind of bring that back a little. It's a subtle change. I'm not quite sure if I like it. It's not a very colorful image, so. Really not doing anything. Not doing anything much. We can leave it there. Maybe I'll come down to the bird and add something to the bird. We'll do the bones. Or the clowns. We can do the clowns. So like I said, I mean, there's a lot you can just mess with. Stack your layer adjustments constantly. Try to think in terms of many subtle layers of textures and colors and images. I suggest definitely for today, really focus just on composition, okay? But if like me, you're getting stuck in certain places, then by all means, you know, start messing with the color, get it to a point where you're comfortable with it, and then work on your composition some more. Today is okay to sort of like decide, oh, I hate what I've worked on completely and start again. Wednesday, maybe not so good to do that. I think we have, what, one more? We have Wednesday to do studio work, and then we're critiquing on Monday, if I remember correctly. I'll double check here in a second. But